This community is not safe with individuals that are not following the law. We ask that our sheriff, our chief of police, Peter Newsham, does better.
If you're somebody in this community that has these problems, come forward. Come forward. Get a hold of us.
If you have a problem with, then exactly, Missy, I love that you say that. That's exactly what we're doing here. We have a podcast, and we're going to continue to grow this podcast. This is a voice within the county, and we're talking about files within the county. We're talking about Mustafa. We're talking about other individuals within the county. And the sad reality is the reason that we're doing this is because no one else is doing it. I mean, who else of Prince William County is going to cover the stories that's going to coming out of the police misconduct that's coming out of Prince William County and Manassas? Nobody. Inside Nova is not doing it. If you go to Inside Nova, they will not cover your story. If you're talking about,
you need to know your rights and you need to stand up.
You have to know your rights. You have to not walk away. And the problem here, exactly, don't be afraid. I mean, we're not living in China. I mean, we're not living in Russia. We're not living in a third world country. We have a constitution that protects us. We do have rights. But it's up to you. If you give up those rights, you don't have any rights.
Then they'll take them.
They'll take them.
They'll continue to take them.
They will continue to take them. The problem here is in Prince William County, in Manassas, we don't have a voice. If you go to Inside Nova, which is our local newspaper, they're not going to report on what's going on with you. If you talk about police misconduct, they're going to look the other way. If you go to NBC4, Channel 7, Fox 5, they're going to look the other way. Channel 7 says, they're there, what is it? Channel 7, we're on your side. Channel 9, we'll not cover your story. Channel 7, they say we're on your side. They are not on your side. I mean,
no,
they haven't
held accountable like everybody else.
Exactly.
For lying.
Exactly. And Missy, what's disturbing is earlier, Julia reached out to Julie Carey with NBC4, and she told her yesterday, Mustafa brother was found not guilty by the jury with Sheriff Glenn Hill, Mustafa brother versus Sheriff Glenn Hill, in a case where the First Amendment was violated. She reached out to Julie Carey, and she told her, can you please bring the story media attention so that our community know the outcome of this case? She tells her, I'm out of town right now, and unfortunately, I will not be able to cover the story. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Excuses. Every time she wants to tell you, I'm not going to cover the story, she's out of town. Last time she told me she's in China. No, not China. France. And I will not have access to my cell phone. I'm like, lady, what do you mean you're not going to have access to your cell phone? What does that even mean? Oh, you don't want to cover the story against the sheriff because you're on the payroll of the sheriff. We get it. You're on the payroll of the sheriff. We understand. You're on the payroll of the police department. You're protecting a corrupt,
like everybody else.
Exactly. You're protecting a corrupt police department. Unfortunately for them, we do have this podcast. We're going to continue to grow this podcast. It's a voice within our county. And if you have a problem, if you're dealing with a situation where you're dealing with police misconduct, corruption, reach out to us. We will come to you and we'll cover your story. This is a mobile setup. We're setting up in front of the Department of Justice. And I have an army of individuals that will file with the Department of Justice to have the federal government get involved. when the local government failed to do their job, which is the county, when the local government failed to do their job, the federal government has an obligation to step in. And this is what we're doing.
We're not going to stop until it's handled.
And like Missy said, we will not stop until it's handled. And Sheriff?
And not the stop. We won't be quiet either.
And we will not be quiet either. I love you, Casey. I love you, Missy, Stefano, Regina, and Dre. Go to sleep, sir. Go to sleep. You got a long day tomorrow. You got REMS to pick up. And we need you to show up in DC. We need you on a podcast. And now that we're not trespassed and we beat the sheriff in court, our podcast is going to be in the jail parking lot, on the property, and I'm going to have the jail in the background while we covered the files from Prince William County and the abuse that's coming out of our county.
Well, you know they miss you.
Huh? You said what?
You know they miss you.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I remember the good old days, walking around barefooted on that property, walking around, and I've earned myself a reputation being a barefooted monkey. That barefooted monkey is now has a podcast, is in a suit, and when we're on the property,
barefoot.
Oh, I'll promise you I'm going to be barefoot. I'm going to be on a podcast where the jail's right behind me. I'm going to be in a suit, but I'm going to be barefoot. And on that note, Casey, I love you, man. Missy, Dre, Stefana, Regina. And before we end the podcast, Dre, you look like you want to say something.
I got one thing to say.
I look forward to it, sir. Go ahead.
Last night when me and Missy left out of here.
Can't mute you even if I want to.
When me and Missy left out of here, we left out here together. And I don't know, I went to sleep and within an hour or two later, my goddamn phone ringing. And my motherfucker ring 5 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And I looked and I see it was you. I'm like, I did. Ain't nobody answering within a minute. He should hang up. He let that mother ring for like 5 minutes.
That's funny. You know, I'll tell you.
He must want somebody to talk to.
You know, I'll tell you, I would not be able to do this without everybody here. This is, you know, and it comes, you know, and I'll tell you, it's, you know, the community keeps the community safe. Laurie, I love you, ma'am. Thank you for being there. The community keeps the community safe. I mean, what are we doing here? We're coming together and we're asking the leadership that's not doing their job to do their job. And we're going to keep doing that until they do their job.
Yes.
And if they don't, the federal government is just around the corner. They're going to be knocking on your door, Sheriff. Do your job, sir. Look into your correctional officer, Chief of Police, Newsham, Peter Newsham. Look into the investigator that falsified Mustafa's police reports before you're investigated by the federal government. On that note, thank you for being here, Missy, Dre, Regina, Stefana, Casey. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa, through the police body cams, Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope. And before we end this,
why are you leaving so soon? It's only 1:32.
It's only 1:32. I've got a long day tomorrow. I think we're over an hour. I think we did pretty good today. We covered a whole bunch of things. On that note, thank you for being here. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa, under the microscope. Laurie, I love you, ma'am. Thank you for being there. Judge Carol Weimer, under the microscope.
All right, brother. I see you.